Game 7.
I like the shirt, my man. Jay Will is fired up and ready to go. Alan is ready to roll this morning. We got tons of hoops for you. Keith is up early this morning with us. We'll have Udonis Haslem this morning breaking it down. Wendy will be live with us from Indy. We'll mix in some football, but there's only one place to begin. Game 6 last night. The O'Brien was in the building, but it probably caught an early flight to OKC. Second quarter, after a nip and tuck first, here we got T.J. McConnell. Jay, he's such an incredibly important piece of this team.
It's also okay to call him an absolute pest on the floor. Right. That's what he is defensively. And this is what Indiana did last night. They set tempo with their defense, forcing 21 turnovers. Look at the pass.
How's that calf?
Oh, look at this guy. It feels great.
Yeah.
Aaron Nesmith in the corner. Pacers up 13. Halliburton and company fired up. His calf looked really good. Allen, he looked good all night. Made 3 threes last night for 14 points.
30-footer as well right there. Watch this, too. This is just a broken play. All he's doing right there is just finding the basketball.
Look out, pass.
And that is
Look
great.
Out.
Show that pass again, please.
We're going to give you a couple of calls on this as the morning continues. The call on this in Portuguese was epic. Look at the no look.
What?
Siakam throws it down, a 20-point Pacer lead, closing seconds of the half. Jay, you've been calling for Siakam this entire series. He gave you 16 last night.
When the game slows down and in the half court, Pascal Siakam and T.J. McConnell are the most effective players.
And then the second half, let's just say it, Thunder, no fight at all.
No show. They didn't score for the first 5 minutes of the half.
The lead extending there. They closed the first half, Indy did, on a 30-9 run, and then the third quarter, it just turned into a complete blowout. Obi Toppin, no. Final seconds of the third quarter. Shepherd, yes. Thunder starters did not play in the entire fourth quarter. The Pacers had 6 players score in double figures. Pacers win a laugher, 108-91. We will get a Game 7 on Sunday night.
All of us got to give everything we have. You know, I give everything I have for this group in this locker room. So just trying to come out here and play the best of my ability. My guys have had my back all year, and especially tonight, and that means the world to me.
The way I see it is we suck tonight. We have to learn the lessons. And we have one game for everything we've worked for, and so do they. And the better team Sunday will win.
Okay, put your feet up. We got a lot of time. Day has made it, so we're delighted to have Udonis Haslem back on the program. But Keith, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to give you your props. You called your shot. You were the one person this whole week on this show who kept saying over and over again, Indiana's going to win. You've been calling it. What did you see last night? What's your number one takeaway from a Game 6 blowout?
Greeny, my number one takeaway has been the same thing the entire playoffs, right? It's taking care of the ball. Turnovers has been the biggest thing for OKC, right? They average 25 points a game off turnovers, right? So if you don't give them that, obviously they can't score as much. You take away those 25 that they get, they can't score as much, right? And Indiana did a great job of pushing the pace and just playing the same way, right? I was talking about how if Halliburton plays or he don't, they still play the exact same game, right? And yesterday, that was a beautiful brand of basketball. By the time the second half started, they already had 6 or 7 players that scored 8 or more points, man. That's extremely hard to stop. And OKC never could bounce back because of the pressure and because of the intensity that Indiana played with.
UD, we were sitting around here this morning trying to figure out how OKC shows up like that. Maybe it's a sign of their youth or whatever the case may be, but with a chance to close out an NBA championship, to put up a performance like that, UD, how do you explain it?
I think none of those guys have ever been there before. If you look at that roster and you talk about what Alex Caruso was able to do, he did get a ring, but that was in the bubble. It's a different situation when you step into a road game on the road. And I've been in Indiana before, and I know what that crowd brings. So that's a very intimidating situation. And the OKC team has showed a lot of growth throughout this playoffs. They're well beyond their years with their maturity. But I think last night was the first time that we probably saw that sign of immaturity kind of creep in a little bit. And once again, the inexperience of being in the finals and on the road. Nobody has had that experience on that team in that locker room.
I'm going to tell you guys something. I was extremely disappointed in watching OKC last night for not matching the intensity of how Indiana came out in that game. Tyrese Halliburton, shout out to him for stepping up in the second quarter and really setting the tone for his team, even though at 14 points. But we talk about 21 turnovers, right? And that led to fast break points for Indiana. SGA did not play like the MVP last night.
Nope.
He did not. I get it, 21 points on 15 shots. That's 10 less field goal attempts that he's taken in this entire series, and 2 assists and 8 turnovers. So that was a very young team having a young moment. Yes. And for as much as everybody is like, hey, they always bounce back the game after they lose, we haven't been seeing them bounce back in a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. I'm worried about OKC. The door is open for Indy.
You should be. And can we now put the brakes on the Jordan Pippen comparisons and all that stuff, right? Like, this is a really young team, and they showed it in that game on the road in that type of an environment. You had to know you were going to get the best punch. That second quarter, that really was the game, the second quarter. Then you come out in the half, your coach makes an adjustment to your lineup, and it leads to nothing. So that team is in a lot of trouble. But it's not just on the court you're seeing it. You're seeing, to me, a master at work in Coach Rick Carlisle. And what he has done adjusting throughout this series, really throughout this playoffs. It's the 10th game they've won where they've been the underdog. They are always fighting against anyone believing in them, but he keeps making adjustments that the other team takes an entire game to figure out. This adjustment was the way they defended. They did not pick up 50 feet, 60 feet from the basket on SGA. They dropped 30 feet and said, we're going to get you on the other side now of the timeline, and we're going to mess up your offense. And that led to a lot of turnovers. That's one of them. But you know what else? Rick Carlisle has his bench players ready to go.
Yeah.
That Pacers bench played great. Not only TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin, and what he's been doing in this game, coming into games. They're going to guys deep in the bench, and they're getting quality minutes. That's great coaching. And if the Pacers win, I'll say it again. If they win this championship, whoever wins MVP should hand the trophy to their coach because he's the MVP.
I don't disagree with the word that you were saying. You're there in person. What did you see in Halliburton? That was obviously the big story going into the game yesterday was how would he look? To me, just watching on TV, it looked to me, I barely saw anything. They obviously didn't have him bringing the ball up the floor, which maybe gave him the opportunity to rest the leg a little bit. How did he look to you?
I mean, I think Tricky Ricky played a little possum with us yesterday. I think he got us a little bit in. If you've been in this league a long time, you understand how it is. We tend to over-exaggerate injuries sometimes in the playoffs, and we don't let on to the other team how hurt we are or how unhurt we might be. Mm-hmm. I think he got away with one yesterday. I think the other team came in, they kind of let off the gas a little bit. They've been hearing the last couple of days, Halliburton's calf. Is he going to play? Oh, we're going to set a lineup up just in case he does not play. We're going to have other guys ready. That was a smoke screen. Everybody knew that he was going to play. I think OKC fell for the old Statue of Liberty banana in the tailpipe yesterday. And I think Indiana just imposed their will. I think this series has come down to each game who's going to impose their will. I think Indiana imposed their will. And I am one of the ones that have said Indiana was going to win this in 7, so I am happy to see this go 7.
All right, way to go. Okay. I mean, it's good picks. We've missed you here.
I see the subtle flex, UD.
I like it, too. And I will say this. I fell for the banana in the tailpipe. I would like to retract everything I said the last 2 days about how Halliburton shouldn't play and take into account the rest of his career because it's more important than any one game. I take all that back, obviously. And then Markieff, should he get better? Now, whatever it is, however hampered he actually is by this injury, which is a legitimate injury, should he be that much better by Sunday than he was even on Thursday?
I mean, obviously, you have to go right into rehab mode and do as much as you can to get him better. But quite honestly, he looked good to me, right? Like the last couple games, this game, he's been pushing the pace and he was actually creating his shot off the dribble. He didn't get downhill as much, but he played vertical. He played side to side a lot. He was shifty and trying to get his 3 off. And then defensively, he was in the passing lane. So if you can get a repeat action of what he did in Game 6, then I think you should be good for Game 7. He looked good to me.
Absolutely. So, look, this has been a postseason where nothing has made sense. The team that you expect to win a game almost never does. So I give up on trying to predict what's going to happen in Game 7. But, Jay, I think it is worth saying again, in a playoff year where 20-point deficits have been overcomable, the Thunder did not come out in the third quarter at all. They're down 22 at the half. Make your adjustments, whatever it is. We have seen teams repeatedly come back from big deficits in this postseason. For them not to put up what even perceived to be any fight in the third quarter was disappointing, to say the least.
It was extremely disappointing. I think that's the concern that you have. And look, I get that Daigneault and SGA are always cool, calm, and collective at the podium, right? But when you go home, I don't know if you're that cool, calm, and collective. It's one thing to say that, but all those things that lead into a Game 7 for a young team with your legacy in the line, who's had one of the best regular seasons that we've seen in a long time, that's a lot of pressure on the home team. It does feel like Indy is playing with house money.
House money. It's Game 7. No one's playing with house money, Jay. But I agree in the fact that OKC has got to look at this as we were talking about with Halliburton playing the other day, and should he play and all that stuff. And you're like, no, because you never know when you're getting back here. If you're the Thunder, we've talked about this could be the start of a dynasty. I don't know now. I don't know. But I don't know if they're ever getting back here either. And they've got to play with that same urgency now.
Why I said it was house money, because if you're Rick Carlisle, like this is going, like everybody's counting Indy out.
Yeah.
Everybody's counting Indy out. Just look, it's bulletin board material everywhere you look about how great this OKC team is, all the historical numbers defensively about how great they are. Okay, let's go into their house. Let's get it in their house.
Yeah, I can see you nodding along. It does feel like Indiana's season, I'm sure they'll be devastated if they lose on Sunday, but their season is a massive success no matter what happens. If the Thunder lose this game on Sunday night, I feel like there will be a different sensation for them. What are your thoughts, UD?
I think I think the whole world is the only people that don't believe that Indiana's win this. I think Indiana believes that they can win this championship regardless of what anybody else thinks. I've been in locker rooms where we listen to the chatter of the media where they say that team doesn't have a chance and this team should be up and this series should be over. I've been in those locker rooms. They've been using that as gasoline. Mm-hmm. The power of the brotherhood has brought this team together. You see my boy James Johnson get in last night, 30 seconds got kicked out. 30 seconds got kicked out. Let me say something. If I wasn't more proud to watch that as like a proud dad moment, the leadership, the coaching, the brotherhood, the connection. No, they do not have a superstar, but everybody on that team stars in their role. I believe in this team. I am a believer.
Look, and you have been right all along, and Keith has been right all along, and I would just like to retract also my use of the word sensation. I haven't slept much lately. I'm not sure why I went with
I
that.
didn't want to say anything. Here,
it's going to be a different feeling. Yeah, sensation is not the word I was shooting for there, but we move on. Much more. All right, Flashback Friday. Last time we had a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. It was a game you remember.
Ooh, give me that.
Shot.
LeBron James, the chase down block as the Cavaliers came from 3-1 down. Here's your shot, Allen.
Oh. That's one of the great clutch shots in the history of the NBA Finals.
Cleveland, this is for you. That's the last time we had a Game 7. Think how long ago that seems like. 9 years ago this week. And so it will come down to another Sunday night Game 7, Halliburton's Pacers, SGA's Thunder, Sunday night, 8 Eastern on ABC, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Radio. Our coverage will tip with NBA Countdown at 7:30 Eastern Time. It is a remarkable morning. I mean, it's been such a fascinating postseason. Most of the things that have happened didn't seem to make sense. The team you think is going to win every game sort of logically never seems to. I think the world was ready to give up on Indiana last night. Instead, it went completely the opposite way. This is just a smattering of the NBA conversation we have here. UD is rolling, Keith is rolling, Windy's on the way. Let's show you the pictures from last night. Game 6 in Indy with the O'Brien in the building, but it was able to catch an early flight back to OKC. First quarter was sort of back and forth, Jay, and then in the second, Indiana just turned it up on the defensive end.
Yeah, and look, the active hands is something you hear all the time in NBA huddles, and the activity that Indiana had and how that translated to offense was the difference in this basketball game.
Halliburton, we talked so much about his calf. He looked good, knocked down threes last night.
That's exactly what I was going to say here is you watch him moving up and down the floor, and all he had to do was make a pass. The ball never hits the floor as it goes 3 passes for the open 3.
That was Nesmith knocking one down to give the Pacers a 13-point lead. Here comes Halliburton with another of his threes. He had 14, Pacers up 17 points, and now defense going the other way. Jay Will, give me the slam.
Look at the pass. Look at the pass, and look at the finish.
We've played.
Are you not entertained?
We have played the international calls on this one all morning long, and there's no way to do them justice. The poster slam from Siakam, the no look from Halliburton. Pacers extend the lead to 20. You sort of knew it was done there. Closing seconds of the half. Siakam would score 16 in this game. It's a 22-point halftime lead. But in a postseason where no lead has been saved, Jay, you thought maybe OKC would come out fighting in the third quarter. They came out very, very quiet.
I have to be honest. I was shocked that Dagnall went with a smaller lineup to start
Caruso in
the
for
third
Hartenstein.
quarter
Yep.
instead of staying with the bigger lineup, which gave them more continuity in the way they played.
This is the final seconds of the third quarter. Ben Shepherd will knock down a three.
Can you have a dagger at the end of the third?
Wow.
Can that be a dagger
Dagger
shot?
at the half
End
and
of the
in the third.
It made it a 30-point game. The Thunder starters sat out the fourth. Pacers had 6 players in double figures. Pacers forced a game 7. Here was Halliburton with Lisa after the game.
It's the finals. It's the finals. Like, all of us got to give everything we have. I give everything I have for this group in this locker room. So just trying to come out here and play the best of my ability. My guys have had my back all year, and especially tonight, and that means the world to me.
The way I see it is, we suck tonight. We have to learn the lessons, and we have one game for everything we've worked for, and so do they. And the better team Sunday will win.
All right, we roll along. Keith is up early, and UD is up with us from Indianapolis. So, UD, you were in the building. Give us, what did you sense from OKC? I expected them to win last night. Most people did. They were a pretty significant favorite last night. Did it feel like the moment maybe got to them? What did you see from the Thunder last night with a chance to win an NBA championship getting just blown out of the building?
It felt like they've been listening to the media the last couple of days. It felt like they've been listening to that they're the better team and that the series should be over and that Halley's hurt. And you got to give a shout out to Tricky Ricky once again. As players, we tend to over-exaggerate how injured we were, but the way Hallenberg played in that first half, the way he was pulling up from three, getting downhill, making plays for other people, he seemed to be a little more healthier than they thought he would be. So if I'm in that OKC locker room, I'm definitely kicking myself, but not because we lost the game, but because because of the effort. You know what I'm saying? We let them impose their will on us. They attacked us offensively and defensively and just took over the game. And that's not the way you definitely want to lose a game. So going into Game 7, Indiana has all the momentum right now. And I think there has to be a little bit of doubt creeping into OKC, and they showed some youth. And it was the first time that I think we've seen them not bounce back and we've shown their youth be a problem.
That's an interesting one. Look, how about Markieff? You also picked UD. You picked Indiana last night, and Markieff, you did as well. What did you see last night that led to this very one-sided Game 6?
I just seen a whole lot of Indiana and a little bit of OKC, right? OKC started the game off with 10-2. Ever since then, I felt like they didn't attack or they wasn't themselves, right? It was 34-33 going in. It was 34-33 going into the second half with 9 minutes left, and Indiana closed the half on a 30-9 run. OKC could never get back in the game, right? Like I said before, Indiana took care of the ball. They didn't turn the ball over. They got quality shots, and that paved the way for them to be able to blow OKC out and not have their starters play in the fourth quarter. And I think just being in the finals, that's not normal, man. That's kind of disrespectful for them to have been beaten like that in the Game 6 and not have to play your starters in the fourth quarter.
With a chance to win the championship. I mean, Jay, tell me, what did you see?
I mean, I saw ass whooping.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what we saw. I mean, UD, like we're gonna call a spade a spade. I mean, that's what we saw last night, and the energy wasn't matched by Oklahoma City that Indiana played with throughout the course of the game. And then I think the bigger point, and look, it's a part of the game, but the MVP of this league, the guy that we started having conversations about is he a Hall of Famer already before we get to a Game 7? If he's the scoring champ, if he's the regular season MVP, if they win a championship, if he's the finals MVP. He had 40% of their turnovers last night.
Yeah.
He had 8 turnovers and 2 assists. Okay, like it's a really big moment for him as he's maturing UD into the player that we know SGA is. This Game 7 is going to be defining because when he tries to get other people involved, that's what he needs to do. That's what he did in the Game 5, which led out to him having double-digit assists. But the way he impacts the game and him being sharp with the ball is going to be defining for his legacy in the Game 7.
You know, you called him Tricky Ricky. I think Rick Carlisle has been a master in this entire series, and Mark Dagnall has kind of shown also his inexperience, and you referenced it, the start to half, it's 22. And Greeny, you said it because we've seen it all playoffs. Was anybody turning the TV off 22 points down at the half? No, because you know the Thunder are just a team that can go on a run, get some turnovers, and now you're right back in the game. And you were wanted to see what adjustments are they going to make. The adjustment he made was to play smaller, put in Caruso. Disaster. They didn't score for 5 minutes to start the half. It was some of the worst basketball they played all season. And that right there, all of a sudden 22 turned to 28, and that felt like, okay, this thing now is not coming back. Like, this game is already over, and it's midway through the third quarter. When you have a chance to win a championship, you come out of the half like that, that's on everybody, not just SGA. I think it's on the coaching as well. That is something they have to circle the wagons for the next 2 days and figure out how are they going to counter whatever Tricky Ricky does for Game 7, because on the road, the Pacers are a dangerous team. And if it's a close game, guys, who you trust in late? Tyrese Halliburton's already shown you that he can make those shots.
If you're a fan, what you'll see in the next minutes, hours, and days to follow may convince you you've gone to sports heaven.
Booyah! OKC is on the brink of a title. Indiana is desperate for a Game 7.
And we just wanted to protect home court. You know, we didn't want to see these guys celebrate a championship on our home floor.
Facing elimination, the Indiana Pacers with a dominant first half.
We got exactly what we deserve, and we have to own that.
This is a bludgeoning here in Game 6. The magic carpet ride for the Pacers is not over. They'll play for an NBA title on Sunday night.
We have one game for everything we've worked for, and so do they. The better team Sunday will win.
Pacers win as an underdog again. That is 10 wins in this postseason as an underdog, tied with the 2023 Heat for the most in a playoffs in the last 35 years. And, of course, Indiana will have a chance to break that record in Game 6 because they are underdogs. Again, we have a really good squad put together this morning. And joining the conversation now from Indiana is our own Brian Windhorst. The Win Man gets up with us here, and we always appreciate it. Before I get into some of the offseason stuff that I want to do, what was your takeaway last night? Neither you nor I were expecting what happened last night. Why did it go that way?
Well, I think this whole series has been defined by who can take care of the ball. I know it's a basic tenet, take care of the ball, but it's really been fascinating to watch. There's a stat in the NBA called stocks, steals and blocks put together. In Game 5, Oklahoma City had 27 of them. I've never seen a stat that high. Last night, Indiana had 21 of them. And I just want to point out Andrew Nembhard. Andrew Nembhard's play in this game on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he forced 6 turnovers as the defender last night. Now, he got help. They were double teaming Shai. But the level that Andrew Nembhard brought, having to play point guard because they took some of the burden off of Tyrese Halliburton to protect that leg, and he played an absolutely brilliant game, hit 3 3-pointers. Andrew Nembhard is an unsung hero in this playoff run. He was an unsung hero last night.
Yeah, for sure. We were ready to crown, by we, I mean me and many others, ready to crown OKC and start talking about a dynasty and all of that. And did we see their youth catch up to them last night? To have the opportunity to win the championship and to just no-show, a game in which you don't even play your players in the fourth quarter. What did we see from them last night?
Well, I'm going to say something, Greeny. This is the second time this year I've watched Oklahoma City play for a trophy. And I know people disregard and don't respect the NBA Cup, but that NBA Cup mattered. In the moment, that was an important thing for them to win, way back in December in Las Vegas. And the 2 worst games I've seen them play this year are the NBA Cup game and this game last night. They also happen to be their 2 lowest scoring games of the year. And I just thought that they did not bring the requisite intensity at all. Now, sometimes you have bad games on the road. It's not a character assessment. But it wasn't like Indiana shot 55% in this game. They shot 41%. Okay, they hit a couple of threes, but it wasn't like they made 19 3-pointers. This was a combination of Indiana playing with desperation and Oklahoma City not matching it. And so if I'm Indiana, I've seen Oklahoma City twice now when the chips are on the table not play their best game. And I would have some belief that I could play my best game, and the Thunder got to assess that too. The way their mentality has been in those 2 games, and I'm counting the NBA Cup game, no matter what anybody wants to say, because it mattered. And I didn't like their demeanor in either game.
Okay, fair enough. I think it's an important thing to remind everyone of. So here's what we had planned one way or the other. We will get one more game in this NBA season, and then the offseason begins, which is always it seems like as much fun as anything else. So we want
How's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support, and hope to see you on the next video.